When my father was 11 years old, he got severely beaten by a group of kids. They took brass knuckles to him and hit him all over his body, and they kicked dog feces in his hair, smashed him in it. He spent some time, I believe, in the hospital. Afterwards, my grandfather, my father's father, took him to a boxing gym. And the man not only taught him how to box, but he taught him how to ruthlessly defend himself against attack. And my father later on met up with these people. Sometimes it was a few years later, but he said he met up with every one of them, and he enacted justice upon them. And then another story, when my father was in the 8th grade, a sadistic nun stood my father up in class and said, if anybody likes this person, please stand up. And she then said, see, nobody likes you. This nun was never taken to justice. She did a very abusive, and I think at this point would probably be an illegal thing. I mean, she also beat the living hell out of him. But this person was never brought to justice. The right to be heard as a human being. Now, there is a question. Where does due process come in with regards to cancel culture? Or does due process only apply to a courtroom setting? I've heard that teachers have a due process before they are to be fired, that they have the right to be heard and the right to a defense. Shouldn't that be something that has happened whenever possible in a just and moral society? I believe that 2020, there were evidence of clear abuse and clear violence, particularly with regards to the riots. Lots of unjust murders and killings by fanatics. One of them was Jessica Doty Todd Whitaker. She was shot. Her crime to the person who shot her was saying the words, "All lives matter." And then on her Facebook page, they said that she kind of deserved it. And then Google and Facebook blurted out the people that put that out there so they couldn't be canceled. But if it was the other way around, you know where it would go. I'd like to see these people, by the way, before Congress and asked a few questions. Because again, I believe that a just and moral society punishes abusers and prosecutes abusers, whether it is in a court of law or within the court of public opinion. We have that ability to do that. We have the ability to put through the court of public opinion abusers. A lot of these companies, diversity policies and things like that, I believe that they were forced upon. They were forced upon those companies by the government. So the government can step in again and make sure that we are a moral and just society. These people do not want to debate. They want to be obeyed. It is about obedience and power. That's what they're telling you, or at least that's what it comes across as. And I'd like them to ask it. Is it about obedience? Obedience and punishment. A couple days ago, I had the great rye bread, and people like her probably do run a lot of, are in charge of a lot of companies and decide whether people get fired or economically hurt. That's the type of person that's there. That's what they do. And they don't have to explain themselves to you. Now, this one's okay, because I'm not losing anything economically. But if I was, I certainly would be upset if I was not to be heard, if I was just to be terminated by human nature. That would upset me. And that would upset most people by human nature, for those who wish to speak their piece as a human being. But I guess, as of now, the powerful elites seem to know what is best for the rest of society. And as I observe it, much of society is afraid. Much of society is scared. And much of society is angry. It is both fear and anger that are in control. And both are like fire. You can control fire, or it can consume you. There are ways in which one can act that is in the best way to fight. And I'm not even saying that you're going to win, but I'm saying the best way to fight. I have navigated at times through tough territory and difficult territory. And I've learned myself how to deal with vicious people and vindictive people. I don't know if these people are too powerful to be defeated. And Master of Rope says, do not fight a fruitless battle. You don't know whether a battle will be fruitless until you take a fight. Sometimes it is a fruitless battle if you lose. But certainly you do not know the outcome of this battle, of this war. Right now, it seems the hypocrites, the gaslighters, and the abusers are winning. And maybe they'll win. And this has been true through with regards to any authoritarian regime. Again, they've attacked the information age. And I believe this is a fight not only in America, but a fight within the civilized world. That information is being suppressed, and that reality is also being suppressed. So again, people have the right, people have the right to their perceptions. And I don't know what can be done, or all the avenues that can be taken, both legal and and whom you can convince to do things. But certainly this is a battle. There's an ideological battle, and it's being fought on all fronts, on all sides. And again, it's something that kind of interests me. Anytime I'm seeing something that is unfair and wrong, and people get away with it, it does tend to bother me. Maybe it shouldn't. Maybe I'm not being a good Stoic. Unfair and wrong are part of human history. But you'd think that the internet, social media, would bring an age of logic and reason, or some form of age of logic and reason, and some form of moral right and wrong. But that doesn't seem to be happening. The ideologically fanatical on one side of the aisle seems to be running things. And I guess you could say there is a fanatical side on the other side. They got some of their way, I suppose. But it's all the way around. And those of us who are moderate in the middle are the ones afraid. Because the radicals on the right, the religious, they don't care if they're persecuted. And the radicals on the left, they're the ones doing the persecution. And the moderates are the ones afraid. And then some of the moderates and some of the liberal conservatives have some of their principles. And they're fighting people with no principles at all. You're wanting to go in with the Marquis of Queensberry, and they're clubbing you in the head with a baseball bat. We got High Ridge Estates. High Ridge Estates did ask me to go into the... this started about 12, 13 minutes ago. And I wanted to say that High Ridge Estates asked me to go into the Discord. I left because I said, to a degree, I didn't want to be certainly around individuals that don't necessarily respect me. It's not that we have a difference of ideas. It's that my ideas are not respected, and I'm not respected as a human being to them. And there are other people who've come on my show who don't respect me. And why should I want that for myself as a human being? I'm a person with ideas. You're a person with ideas. And you can't be respectful to my ideas, or at least if you disagree in a respectful manner. And by nature, I'm upset when someone doesn't respect me. Why should I be around something that's going to upset me? And if you think you're so right that you can come with a disrespectful manner, then okay. What do I gain from that as a human being who's a thinker? Even if my thoughts are limited, by nature I'm going to want respect. And I will strive to give you respect. But if that can't happen, why should I want to be around that? I see High Ridge Estates doesn't have any statement to that. The January 6 hearings have been continuing on. I've heard some bits and pieces. So you tell me to grow a thicker skin. Again, it's not what you say, it's the manner in which you choose to say it. And the manner in which your friend chooses to say it as well. You think I'm respected? You think I'm respected as a human being? Grow a thicker skin? Someone tells me that I'm a piece of garbage and I don't have to explain to you why you're a piece of garbage? Just tells me that I'm a piece of garbage? And I'm supposed to just grow a thicker skin? People leave homes. People divorce people when they say that. I don't mind if one person pushes back. You could still talk to me as a human being. And nothing that I said on those shows were outrageous. What have I said in those last two shows that you felt were outrageous? And I have not gotten one answer. I don't know what I've said on this show that is outrageous. If you believe that I'm wrong, tell me where I'm wrong. We have an extremely vindictive group in power. And they will inflict pain on those who go against them. They've already driven one man to suicide. Yes, I say they're bad. Those in power right now are bad. And I say that all the time because they are. Because they are in control of the establishment. And they are abusive. And they are not realistic. I'll give you one story and how they brainwashed the masses. I had a group come to my apartment, and they were looking for donations to stop child brides in Africa and in the Middle East. And they said that it was a financial problem, not a cultural problem. And it was a man and a woman. And I asked both of them, do you have any children? And the man said, yes, I do. And I said, is there any amount of poverty that you would have that you would sell your child to a middle-aged or elderly man for marriage? No, it is the manner in which they choose to disagree with me. I've said this, it is the manner. Often it is the manner. But some things, if you disagree with, perhaps you are bad. The manner in which you choose to disagree with me. If what I say is untrue at this moment, please tell me where you think I'm incorrect. But those in power are on the left, on average, and they are bad. The right was bad too. I'll never say, I'm not going to say that there wasn't badness on both sides. But right now, who's in power? Moral authoritarians. And they decide punishment, and they decide it without any form of hearing. You are just punished. But they finance the other side that does the punishing. I forget the man's name, but he was in Nebraska. He was at his, I believe, at his bar or his father's bar. I don't remember which one. But there was a crowd that gathered. He brandished his firearm to tell them to back off because they were becoming dangerous. He fired it in the air. A man came behind him, got him in a chokehold, and started punching him in the head. And he shot him through the left clavicle. The prosecuting attorney said, because it was on tape, it was a clear-cut evidence of self-defense. Well, the mob came there, and they went over to his home, and he reversed himself. And the person who had defended himself was barred from any of the pay sites, the banking sites. So the trial was becoming extremely expensive. And being driven to poverty, the man ended up committing suicide. And I believe her name is Mindy or Mandy Hunt. She was one of the politicians behind this. I think she should be brought before Congress and explain herself and her behavior. After he committed suicide, she said, this white supremacist is dead, but his ideas still survive. She smeared him, and he was a former Marine. A man that I know of never said anything publicly that was of racial epithets, but there were people that said that he did to them privately. And that was unjust. I believe it was very unjust. And the people responsible for that should be held to justice. A moral society punishes abusers. Tell me where I'm wrong, Scott. Go ahead. A moral society punishes people who abuse. And often when people are abusive, they often believe that they have the moral right to do so. A form of self-righteous anger. Because, again, I see Rye to a degree, and not you as much, but you still have that angry spirit that when you hear things, you get very upset, and you will shut people down you disagree with. You and Rye are of the same spirit to a degree as those leftist mobs. You may not even hold the same ideology, but you have some of the same spirit. Do what? I'm telling you the way I see it. I'm telling you the way that I see you come across and the way I see Rye come across. Again, perhaps my need to give people a dose of their own medicine. You hurt me, I hurt you. You hurt me unjustly, I hurt you justly. That's human nature. Anytime someone hurts you and you believe it is unjust, you're going to want to hurt that person justly, by nature. Human beings and even creatures will defend themselves very viciously from all forms of predators. And there is a spirit in a lot of people who believe that they are just in what they're doing, that they are moral in what they're doing. and the other side, whom they are punishing, does not have a right to be heard. And Ryber is one of those people. Now, she doesn't have any power, but there are people who think like her, who are in the basically the circle of power, and they will abuse. And I'll say it again, as I've said it many times. In a moral society, abusers get punished. And it was the internet that really started to to discover these abusers. This was before the kinds of censorship. Bill Cosby was found out, and Bill Cosby, from my understanding, was abusing people for years. Harvey Weinstein, abusing people for years. And now they want to control the internet. Things like hate speech and conspiracy theories. If you go against certain ideologies, you're preaching hate speech. And if you go against certain theories, if you go against the establishment narrative, it's considered a conspiracy theory. After the Korean War, the military estimated that over 50,000 people died. And then I don't remember when it was, but they had and this was until about 1989, maybe 1990, I'm not sure. But they had adjusted their numbers, and it was a little over, or maybe it was like over 30,000. But if you had said the number was wrong those years before, that not that many people died, you would have been called a conspiracy theorist. You would have been saying that you were giving misinformation. The government gives misinformation often. For example, many dietary beliefs that the government gave to us, I guess the 4 food groups and things like that, are considered completely wrong. And it's just unfortunate, and it stinks, that what is supposed to be the age of information has turned into the age of censorship and punishment. Because groups out there have been strengthened by the internet, and they weakened their opposition. Now, if I'm wrong, and if any of you believe that I'm wrong, put a comment down below and tell me where I'm wrong. What information that I have spoken is incorrect. Human beings have a natural desire to be heard and to be listened to. When that is taken away, and particularly when you punish people for speaking their mind and their piece, you are taking away what is inside their desire. You're taking away, to a degree, a natural right as a human being. And that's what I'm observing now. I do not know, again, how things can change and if things will change. But I'm open to dialogue, and I come with respect. I give respect. You have to earn my disrespect. And I'll leave it for there. But either I'm going to be treated with respect, I'll just leave. And again, I hope to have a place where open and honest dialogue can happen. At the moment, that is not possible on a large scale for those who control the social media, the internet, and other devices. And I tend to believe that it is not the Chinese, it is not the Russians, it's not the Ukrainians, it is leftist. And they're, in a way, more dangerous. This is an economic war that we are in with ideological fanatics who believe that their voice is the only voice that's allowed to be spoken on certain subjects. And that is a very dangerous thing that is allowed within this not only within this country, but amongst the civilized societies, and particularly amongst the West. I believe these ideologies were cultivated through other places. I mean, they were put up through other places, but they were built in the West. This is both, I guess, a mishmash of things, but this was given strength in the West. And I'll go further into that. But as I begin to examine it, that's what I'm looking at. Anyway, this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Particularly if you disagree with me, please leave a comment down below on what you think that I said on this show was incorrect. Thank you for listening. And again, share, visit our website, and all the rest.